The film centers around Roz, voiced by Lupita Nyong'o, a service robot who becomes stranded on a remote, uninhabited island after shipwreck. Forced to adapt to the wild, Roz must learn to navigate her unfamiliar surroundings, form connections with the local wildlife, and ultimately take on the responsibility of raising a baby bird, teaching it to swim and fly. It's a compelling and heartfelt story. So let's dive in and explore in detail. A universal dynamic ship crashes, and one of its robots washes ashore. Unit Rome 7134, later nicknamed Roz. When a curious group of otters accidentally activates her, Roz immediately tries to offer her services, but her mechanical nature frightens them. Moments later, a massive wave sweeps them all away. With another tidal wave looming, Roz climbs to safety atop a cliff, finding herself in a vast, uninhabited forest. Alone in the wilderness, Roz ventures deeper into the unknown. She tries to connect with the local wildlife, offering her help, but only manages to scare them. The animals view her as a threat, growing hostile. Though Roz begins to appreciate the raw beauty of the natural world, she's also forced to face its harsh truth. Only the strong survive. Determined to adapt, Roz spends days silently observing creatures around her, gradually learning to understand their language. Slowly, she begins to bridge the gap between machine and nature. Though Roz had finally learned to speak with the forest animals, none of them needed her help. With no purpose left, she decided to return to the factory. But just as she activated her return transmitter, a lightning bolt struck, knocking her off a cliff and forcing a system reboot. When she came back online, a group of raccoons was scavenging her for parts. She tried to gather them, but they scattered, surrounding her in a frenzy. One raccoon stole her transmitter and fled. Roz chased into a cave, only to be confronted by a raging bear. The raccoon dropped the device and escaped. Roz retrieved it, but the bear gave chase, driving her deep into the forest. She lost her footing and tumbled off a cliff, crashing into a nest and tragically crushing a mother goose, leaving behind a single egg. Racked with guilt, Roz took the egg with her, but while she searched for a signal, a fox stole it. In the pursuit, the fox accidentally landed on a porcupine. Despite everything, Roz helped remove the quills before the fox vanished. The egg hatched soon after. The gosling looked up at Roz and instantly imprinted, believing her to be its mother. Roz, thinking her duty fulfilled, left it behind to resume her mission, but the gosling followed. While searching for a signal, the young bird accidentally stepped on the transmitter, breaking it. Roz tries to pass the gosling off to a possum family, hoping they'll take over its care. But when the mother possum, Pinktail, asks where the gosling's parents are, Roz admits the truth. Realizing Roz means no harm, Pinktail gently insists the gosling has already chosen her. It's imprinted on Roz. Like it or not, she's its mother now. Roz explains that without a task, she's programmed to return to the factory. Pinktail replies that she has a task now, raising the gosling. She tells Roz she must feed it, teach it to swim, and eventually help it fly. Following her advice, Roz clumsily offers a gosling an entire acorn, then sends it to a pond, hoping it will figure out swimming on its own. Later, she even launches it into the air to teach it how to fly. Watching all this is the same fox who once stole the egg, troubled by Roz's awkward parenting. He introduces himself as Fink, the forest self-proclaimed goose expert. When Roz asks why he's interested, Fink admits he was confused by her helping him earlier, despite his attempt to steal the egg. She explains it's simply her programming, to serve others' needs. Fink then tricks Roz into collecting clams and honey for him, stuffing himself while pretending it's for the gosling. When Roz grows suspicious, he scratches the dirt to reveal worms, actual food the gosling happily eats. Later, Roz confesses her power core is damaged. She runs on solar energy and batteries, and her transponder is broken. Want to keep the goslings safe, she realizes they need shelter. At Fink's suggestion, Roz sets to work, building a home modeled after a local beaver dam. When Roz tried to name the gosling, Fink told her name shouldn't have numbers. It should be personal. Eventually, they settled on Brightbill. Brightbill grew quickly, but even as an adult goose, he struggled to fit in with other animals. Roz, on the other hand, had learned to mimic animal behavior, which became a source of amusement for them both. Despite their fun, they stayed focused on teaching Brightbill essential skills, like swimming, which they mistakenly thought he was mastering when he was actually struggling to stay afloat. Roz, trying to help, began to hover nearby, but Fink stopped her. If Brightbill was ever going to migrate and live among his own kind, he needed to be independent. One day, Brightbill ended up across the lake and found a flock of geese. Hoping to make friends, he approached them, only to be mocked for being raised by the monster, a name the forest animals use for Roz. When the geese began bullying him, even trying to push him under, Roz rushed in to protect him. But during the chaos, a vicious eel dragged Brightbill underwater. Roz dove in and saved him just in time. Though a few geese returned afterward, they told Brightbill he would never belong because he believed a monster was his mother, the very one rumored to have killed his real family. Devastated, Brightbill confronted Roz. She admitted the truth. She had accidentally crushed his family's nest when she fell from a cliff. Angry and betrayed, Brightbill scolded her for hiding the truth and left. Heartbroken, Roz wandered to the shore, where she found the wreckage of others like her, robots that hadn't survived the crash. She pieced together one barely functioning unit and named it Rubbish. Now, with her task in ruins and her purpose unclear, Roz turned to Broken Robot, seeking guidance. Unsure if her mission could still be completed, Roz explains that her problems keep escalating, forcing her to improvise solutions. Rubbish, the barely functional robot she repaired, claims Roz is defective. She's overridden her programming for too long. It hands her a working transponder and insists she return to the factory to fix herself. Later, Fink finds Roz alone, debating whether she should go back. She admits it might be where she truly belongs. But just then, Fink spots a flock of geese flying overhead. Time is running out. He urges Roz to help Brightbill learn to fly before it's too late to join the migration. Roz fears Brightbill won't accept her help after everything that happened, but she's determined. When he refuses, Roz encourages him to imitate the other geese, but he struggles. She tells him he needs speed and tries to help, but stumbles due to her missing leg. Paddler the beaver crafts a wooden replacement, restoring Roz's balance. With it, she helps Brightbill run fast enough for the wind to lift him into the air. Still worried, Fink suggests they recruit Thunderbolt the Falcon as a flight instructor. With training, Brightbill finally learns to fly. Longneck, an elder goose and leader of the migration, approaches Roz and commends her. Surprised that a goose would speak to her at all, Roz listens as he explains that geese are naturally cautious, especially with someone so different. Only a week remains before the migration begins. Longneck agrees to let Brightbill join the migration, but tells Roz he needs to build endurance. He must stay in the air from sunrise to dusk without touching the ground. With everyone's help, Brightbill trains hard and eventually impresses Longneck. When the day of the Great Migration arrives, Longneck gives a stirring pep talk and warmly welcomes Brightbill by name. Surprised, Brightbill asks how he knows him, and Longneck explains that he and Roz go way back. Before leaving, he says the journey wouldn't be possible without Roz. Despite the accident, she may have saved him. As the flock takes flight, Roz runs to the cliff to catch a final glimpse of Brightbill. Longneck circles back, giving Brightbill one last chance to say goodbye. As the geese disappear into the horizon, Roz catches a falling feather, a keepsake she believes is from him. Days pass. Snow begins to fall. Fink checks on Roz, who finds comfort knowing Brightbill is where he belongs. She tells Fink he can now return to his solitary life. Though saddened by the thought of parting ways, he convinces her to stay. Still, Roz feels her programming calling her back to the factory now that her tasks are complete. As winter sets in, the animals prepare, and Fink retreats to his den. Roz climbs a cliff and activates her transponder, waiting to be retrieved. Meanwhile, the migrating flock hits a thunderstorm and is forced to take shelter in a Universal Dynamics greenhouse. Longneck urges silence. While there, Brightbill spots a familiar-looking robot, only to realize it's not Roz. The security bots identify the geese as contaminated and attempt to capture them. In the chaos, a massive combat robot is deployed and begins attacking. Calm under pressure, Brightbill takes charge. Spotting an opening in the wall, he leads the flock to safety. Just as the robot aims to shoot Brightbill, Longneck distracts it, taking the shot instead. Back at the island, Roz wakes up in the shelter with Fink, who's been waiting for her. She explains she decided to stay, even if Brightbill didn't want her. When she asks why Fink stayed, he says the storm is worsening and describes it as the worst one yet. Worried for the animals, Roz insists on checking on them, despite Fink urging her to leave them behind. She believes they're their only chance, even if they don't like her. With Fink's help, they track down the animals and bring them back to shelter. Trapped together, they start fighting. Fink tries to calm them, but Roz arrives, dragging Thorn the grizzly bear. She powers down, asking Fink to take charge. Fink tells them that despite their hatred for Roz, they must work together to survive the winter. He reminds them that Roz built the shelter and brought them all there, despite his earlier insistence to leave them behind. Roz asks for a truce, and they reluctantly agree. When winter passes, Roz runs out excited to see Brightbill, having heard the geese have returned. She hesitates when she sees them cheering for him as a hero. Brightbill is found where he belongs. Fink arrives and greets Brightbill, surprised to hear Roz stay behind for him. Brightbill, eager to speak with Roz, searches for her. Meanwhile, Roz reflects on the memories she made with him. Suddenly, the ground shakes as a ship appears. A robot named Vontra, from Universal Dynamics, emerges and introduces herself. She explains they came to recover Roz after detecting her distress signal. Despite her challenges communicating with the animals, Vontra praises Roz for completing her task. As they beam up, Fink calls out, telling Roz that Brightbill wants to talk to her. Roz jumps off the ship, displeasing Vontra, who orders robots to retrieve her. As Roz is chased by the robots, the local animals rally around her. Brightbill arrives in a clearing, only to find them surrounded. The leader of the robots demands Roz return with them, but she declares that she's already home. The leader insists she doesn't belong in the wilderness, but Roz proudly declares, "I'm a wild robot." The animals and Roz stand their ground, defeating the robots in a fierce struggle. As the animals fight off the robots, Vontra captures Roz and beams her onto the ship. She explains that Roz will be reconditioned, but Universal Dynamics wants all the data inside her head. Vontra claims Roz has deviated from her original programming, and her memories are valuable. Roz begs to keep them, but Vontra refuses. Brightbill leads the geese to chase after the ship. When they catch up, they attack from all sides. Brightbill breaks inside and finds Roz unresponsive and powered down. He reassures her that the accident wasn't her fault, and that everything she did to fix it was meaningful. He embraces her and tells her he loves her. Roz wakes up, replying, "I love you too." They try to flee, but Vantra stops them, aiming a weapon. Roz outsmarts her, activating the gravity machine to destroy Vontra. They escape just before the ship explodes. Brightbill worries he can't fly with a broken wing, but Roz assures him he doesn't need to. She jumps off the ship, pulling out her power core and placing Brightbill inside to protect him. She reroutes all power to her exterior, falling into the water. Meanwhile, the animals work together to fight a forest fire, cutting down a giant tree to extinguish the flames. When they return to the shelter, they discover the fire has ruined the forest. Roz knows the enemy won't stop hunting her, so she decides to leave to protect them. Brightbill fears they'll take her memories, but Roz assures him they've already tried and failed. Fink worries about losing his only friend, but the animals comfort him, saying they'll always be there for him. Roz promises this is her migration, and she'll find her way back once it's over. Before leaving, she helps rebuild the shelter and activates the transponder. A Universal Dynamics dropship arrives to recover her, and Fink and Brightbill bid her farewell. Months later, winter returns. The animals huddle in the shelter as the geese migrate. Brightbill visits a Universal Dynamics greenhouse and finds Roz, fully repaired and tending to trees. Unsure if she retained her memories, he asks. Roz picks him up and tells him he can still call her Roz, implying she remembers. They embrace, happy to be reunited. The movie ends here. If you enjoyed my movie recap, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you never miss the next video.